Hi guys, it's the 37th episode of Promptsquad, and in today's video I'm going to be creating a piece of art inspired by the prompt, The Art of Quentin Blake, suggested by Dave. Now, as a kid, I was really obsessed with the Roald Dahl books, I imagine like most kids, so having a chance to just focus on the illustrator behind some of my favourite childhood books was really exciting, and I think I did probably this painting maybe a day or two after we announced the prompt. I was that excited to get started. And I think a few of you guys were probably as excited as me because I got to see some of your art really early in the month this time. I don't think I'm alone in finding this one a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see how all of them look together because compiling them today, oh yeah, I'm just very excited to get to the second half of the video. But first, as always, I'm going to show this speed paint that I created for the prompt, inspired by an illustration of Fantastic Mr. Fox by Quentin Blake, onto a wooden slice that Emily kindly gifted me over at Christmas. Now, Blake's style is really fun and loose, so before I painted, I was kind of like swishing my arms around like an octopus, you know, trying to get a bit less tense. No footage of that, sadly, but yeah. His lines and his colouring have this really messy, kind of free feeling to them, so I had to try and get a bit loose before trying his paint style. I decided to use gouache and a black Posca pen for the line art. I wanted the colours to stay very bright and not sink too much into the wood, so I used very little water on my brush with the gouache so that it almost kind of had more of a paste-like texture, kind of stayed more oil-like, and would then stay on the surface of the wood more. I basically used a dry brush too so that it would pick up the wood grain and the surface textures a lot more, because I mean, you know, why paint on wood if we're not going to take advantage of it, eh? And yeah, I think it gave the illustration a bit more character too, as, you know, I didn't want to blend my paints really too much on this one. I mean, it would have added a lot more water, which again, I didn't want it to sink in and go darker. But also, I wanted it to kind of stay simple and fun and messy like his style is, and not look over-rendered and detailed. Blake usually uses watercolours in his art, so his illustrations often have these lovely like internal blends and colours that you get from watercolours. And I feel like those colours and shades are very beautiful, but I don't want my art to get overcomplicated by layering and doing too many little things to get those lovely little highlights that you can do so effortlessly. So I tried to do this more by mixing up shapes and using brush textures as I was using the dried gouache to try and get around like how it would affect in a different medium and just add varied colours that way. I was kind of a bit nerve-wracked going in after with the black pen on top of this. It's not really something that you can fix later, is it? But looking at a lot of Quentin Blake's illustrations, you kind of notice how often he does like a second line, or he'll scribble in a place where it went a little bit wrong just to get the effect back to what he initially intended and wanted to do. Yeah, he just knows where his line should be. It's not the end of the world if it isn't perfectly straight, because if the information is there, and by just doing it, you get these like little blots of ink and all these expressive parts that you wouldn't get if you just drew it a million times like you can digitally, like, you know, go, undo, like a million times to make it perfect. I think there's a lot of, I don't know, just something very beautiful in kind of doing it once and going, that's it, it's done. So I tried to keep that in mind as I was drawing. And yeah, just trying to stay a little bit calm, I guess. It's probably where I veered off the most from his original design, because I think drawing line art, especially in this kind of style, it does kind of force you into your own style without really trying, you know. If you're trying to do a sweeping line, there's a level of what you can and you can't do, isn't there? And adding the fur texture lines here and such, I think we all have favourite ways of doing that, especially when we're doodling like we are in this style. So yeah, I felt like I was the most free to play around at this stage, which really takes away, I think, a lot of the initial anxiety that I felt. And shockingly, that is it. It was quite a quick one. I did give it a quick spray of gloss fixative outside, just because I was a bit worried about that gouache being reactivated, so if I don't know, accidentally spilt a cup of tea on it, you know. So I wanted to make sure that that would, you know, stay fixed in place, and it seemed to work fine with the wood and the gouache, as you hopefully can see in the photos. I'm really chuffed with how this turned out, and I can't wait just one day to live somewhere where I can hang this up properly, maybe on a door. I think it'd look really cute. And yeah, now that all being said, I'm just going to leave you for a minute with a bit of music, and we'll get on to everyone else's prompts after that. Sammy fused her own character art and manga story with Blake's style to create this fantastic painting for the prompt. Femina is a Sarabit verse from her manga The Magical Mirror Realm, which, reading her description, sounds really intriguing. I love how Sammy uses surrealist elements in her art and plays so much with vibrant colours, and this time, to channel Blake's art, she's added all these wispy pencils and line art to it. It really gives it this kind of floaty, magical feel, just in a different way. It's really interesting to see how she can achieve that atmosphere, but in different forms. I kind of want to draw a Sarabit now too. Sammy did mention that Femina has 80 sisters and 60 brothers, so I think I might have to draw one of these siblings. Troy's piece from this month had me absolutely speechless, and I'm kind of glad he gave me the whole month to recover because it really is spectacular. Troy created this gorgeous illustration for the artist Quentin Blake. He's painting himself, it's like the Art of Quentin Blake squared. I really love that Troy decided to use two mediums for this because it really makes the portrait stand out from the page even more. It's kind of like an optical illusion that's really well done. I also love that Troy's really channeled Blake's painting style as he lets the colours of the face and the different skin tones run together in the watercolour, so it creates those lovely blends and shades just like the artist does. And you can see how much attention that Troy has given Blake's art to create this work. It's really beautiful. I really hope he enjoyed making it as much as it looks. Nadia took on the prompt with her own character too, and she painted this lovely bookworm. I really like how Nadia has framed her character with his, little armchair, and she's really perfected that kind of book illustration style in this. It looks like it could have been in a Roald Dahl book, which I just think is so cool to see. I really like the use of watercolours too, and having the soft peach tone and the greens that Nadia's used. I think they're both really gentle and has this childlike feel to me, but she's not relying on primary colours to do that, and I think that's just really done beautifully. Far Photos created her piece for her cousin's birthday, and I think it's a really lovely take on the prompt. It's fun to see how she's taken on the style digitally, and I really love how she's used the medium to her advantage by layering the background and the foreground colours, so that the character can just jump out from the page. Using the white negative space in the character too is just such a nice way of contrasting that rainbow background that she's done. It really pops and has such a cool effect. Emily, I think, had a similar thought process to me and decided to explore Quentin Blake's style using references of his illustrations and taking a bit of time to maybe learn some of his idiosyncrasies, which is really fun to see. I really love how this sketchbook page has been laid out and has come together. You've got all this movement and freedom in the line art, and that's such a nice way of bringing separate characters on the page together. And the painting is just lovely and light in tone. It'd be great to hear what you thought, you learned from this style, Emily, by doing this process. To be honest, it'd be great to hear all of your guys' thoughts on what you've learned from Quentin Blake's style. I love Zoe's mix of fan art and Blake's style to create her supernatural themed fan art painting here. I think my favourite part has to be the characters' expressions, because that's just something that really stands out in Blake's artwork, but I don't think it's the first thing that I would have named, but once you see it, you just know. And I think Zoe's really taken that on and brought it into her own thoughts, not only in her artwork, but then towards the show and in the characters. I think it's just really well done. I think the figures and the layout too really harken back to his style also. It's just so fun to see how Zoe's kind of merged these multiple styles, her own and Blake's, and then the show itself is really cleverly done. And finally, Sean also blended some known characters with Blake's style, but of course he went with some classic horror characters as we can know and trust. And just, aren't they brilliant? I mean, I feel like I should pick a favourite out of the three. I don't think I can. Each character is so well framed and designed, and the colours and features that Sean's emphasised are really well thought out. I mean, I feel like this would be such a cool art series to see, like a gallery wall just dedicated to these Sean, all these different, classical movie characters. I think it's really well done, and I think you've done such a fantastic job with it. And that's everyone's art for this month's prompt, The Art of Quentin Blake. I think there's something especially fun in seeing everyone's take on another artist's style. I think it really highlights how defined and special all of the artists of Promptsquad really are. I mean, we're definitely going to have to add some more artists in the future to this wheel. And talking about the wheel, let's get it going so we can see what next month's prompt is going to be. Remember, if you'd like to suggest a prompt for the wheel, write it down in the comments, I'll get it added to next month's spin. And the prompt is... Alright, okay, so it's Draw This in Your Style, suggested by Emily. Okay, so, future Jasmine here. I rolled this and I was kind of torn about what to define this prompt as, because I've talked in the past with Emily and with a few of you guys about me doing a Draw This in Your Style challenge. And if you don't know, on Instagram there is a Draw This in Your Style challenge theme, and what you do is if you create a piece of art as an artist, you can add it as a tag, and then other artists can take your artwork and draw it in their own style. And I feel a bit like an egomaniac, doing it. I don't know, I know loads of artists do it, I just feel a little bit awkward about it, but then I know we've talked about it, I know like you guys have done it and I've really enjoyed it, and also like I'm trying to like argue to myself, well, if I have people who watch the Prompt Squad but they don't do the draw this in your style and they don't know what it is, if I don't do a piece of art, they're not going to have a piece of art to do the challenge with. So I was kind of torn about it, and I've decided to do my own draw this in your style challenge. And I'm going to put the art up now. And it's going to be weird because you'll see how this one is made next month. So I'm kind of like behind one, but I'll get to see if you guys take part in it, your versions of this art style. And that's basically the idea of this prompt. I've got a piece of art here. It's the draw this in your style challenge. If you like the look of it and you'd like to recreate this piece of art in your own style, go for it. I'd love to see it. If you add the hashtag Promptsquad and the draw this in your style challenge, you'll be perfect for next month's video. I'll get them added and I'll cringe to death. But if you don't want to do this art, that is fine too. There are so many artists on Instagram and just across the internet that have done their own draw this in your style challenges. I would go give them a look as well. If you do another artist's one, could you please make sure to credit them, you know, in your post, or if you email me, just let me know who it is, just so I can make sure to credit them too. I just want to make sure that everyone's properly credited and we know exactly who is doing what. So yeah, that's the way this one's going. So, oh god, right. I'm gonna calm down. Don't worry guys if you don't want to do my one. There's loads of other artists. But if you do, I'm really excited to see what you guys do. I'm really excited. So yeah, there you go. Let's draw this in your style. Here's the next challenge. I'm gonna move past it. So thank you all again everyone so much for creating so much wonderful art for Prompt Squad and for just every month. It's great to be able to follow all of you great artists, you know, along with us every single month. I really hope you enjoy watching it too. So yeah, thank you so much everyone. The deadline is going to be the 1st of May, and I wasn't really sure whether to say this, but I am starting a new job basically like tomorrow, like the beginning of April, and I've got a lot of training that I'm going to have to do for it. It's going to be 2 months of training, and I'm not really sure how great my timing and my work for the next deadline is going to be. I'm going to aim for having the video up in that first week of May. But I just don't want to mess it up so that you don't have as much time for next prompt. So I'll try and aim to make sure it's in that first week. And I really hope it doesn't impact Prompt Squad too much. I'm sorry guys about that. I hope though that you are all going to start some new adventures with the start of spring too. Start enjoying all the good weather. Hopefully it gets warmer. And yeah, take care of yourselves and all those around you. I hope you're all doing well. And yeah, take care. I'll chat to you soon. Bye.